What is going on, guys? Rewinds here, and in this video I'm going to be bringing you guys my review for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex manga chapter number 22. And first things first, I do want to say very action heavy chapter this month. We did definitely get some story advancement in a couple different ways as well, so I feel like we had a pretty good balance overall, but definitely a pretty hype action heavy chapter. So that kind of continues our trend, I want to say, of the last 3 months now, where we've been getting a lot of payoff and developments in terms of the action that was more so set up around chapters 16 through 18, when the plans were first starting to get into effect more so. So let's talk about what went on this month and pretty much what I thought. And I would love to, of course, hear too what you guys thought of the chapter in the comments below, so let me know. But we have a solo cover this month of Boruto, and I think that this solo cover might be possibly the best solo cover Ikimoto has done so far for Boruto, Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. Maybe overall, I want to say for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, this is at least a top 3 cover. I would have to go back and look, but one thing Ikimoto is really good with when it comes to these covers he does is blending in the fits with like the background, and I feel like I really like how he's been handling that. There was a really good cover last month as well with Sarda, I believe, and then I'm pretty sure we had a cool looking Konahamu cover before that. So I just feel like Ikimoto's not really a guy that really be missing too much on the covers, and this definitely, in my opinion, is one of the best ones. um, the chapter itself is titled Jura, so that tells us a lot about what the chapter is going to involve. And the chapter starts off with Mitsuki telling Araya that he's going to deal with the Claw Grimes and for him to hurry up and take the Thorn Bulb to Shinki. So, what happens after that is Jura then ends up appearing out of a Claw Grime himself, and Mitsuki ends up recognizing him by description, and then Jura looks over at Sarda for a second and then starts looking and I think going towards Boruto's direction, ignoring Ryu's Thorn Bulb for the moment. And then pretty much what happens is we go over to Konahamu and Boruto, and Konahamu is pretty much wowed that Boruto beat Matsuri instantly, and Boruto ends up saying, nah, I was only able to do that because she was pretty beat up already, which I like those lines because it gives Konahamu credit too, because Konahamu definitely had her beat if he didn't, show that little bit of hesitation and compassion at the end there. But that just ended up making the job way easier for Boruto, and Boruto took advantage of that. So, W for both characters in my book. And then Matsuri's Thorn Soul Bulb starts forming, and a mini Biju Bomb, or Tail Beast Bomb, that's more so like a sniper shot, ends up missing both Boruto and Konohamaru, and it came from Jura, who ends up saying it's a pity that missed, and he starts heading their way, and Mitsuki's concerned because he knows Konohamaru is in that direction. So now Konohamaru has the Thorn Bulb, and he asks Boruto if this will restore Moegi to her normal state. Boruto ends up saying, Master, there's no time to explain, please listen to me. Get out of here with the bulb now, and go take Sarada and the others where they first met up with the Sand Shinobi, and wait for further instruction there. Konohamaru says, You've, and as he's about to finish his thought, Boruto ends up yelling at him to get out of there and move because Jura is super close now. So that would have been a cool moment, I think, to see what Konohamaru was going to say in full, but just shows you the urgency of the situation right now. Boruto having to deal with Jura, and now pretty much him trying to get Konohamaru and the others to safety seems to be the goal. So far, chapter's off to a hot start, really enjoying it. And I do like that Boruto is so, respectful still to the people that trained him, like how he addresses Konohamaru as master still. And in general, I also saw that there was a Ikimoto interview, which I might make another video on later, where he's addressing Sasuke different too, like fully embracing him as his master after he goes on like this whole time skip span. And that kind of stuff I think is pretty cool for his character, just showing like despite all the stuff that is going on in his life, that he's still like respectful to these people that helped shape him into who he is. So, what happens then is Jura ends up launching a mini tail beast bomb, but Boruto ends up saving himself and Konahamu as well by leaping into the air with him, and then he throws Konahamu in a different direction so he can land and run, which is exactly what ends up happening. Jura ends up looking at Konahamu for a little bit, but as he's distracted, Boruto hits Jura with a Rasengan. It doesn't do any visible damage, and then as Jura is falling in midair, he turns around and launches one of those Rinnegan tail beast bombs back at Boruto, and Boruto ends up dodging this by using the flying Raijin. And then he tries attacking Jura with his sword, but Jura blocks it, and he ends up saying that the flying Raijin is impressive and that fighting a strong opponent makes his heart dance with joy. So this is showing us a little bit more of Jura's character and personality as well. That battle excites him. Meanwhile, Ada and Koji are watching and discussing what's going on. Ada's questioning Boruto's winning chances, and Koji says he has none with the current sequence of events. So in all possibilities, there's no way Boruto is going to win this one. Not even, I'm assuming, if Momoshiki even came out. I don't think it's possible. So, what's said after that is pretty much Ada saying he needs to teleport away and get away, but Koji says he couldn't do that even if he wanted to, explaining that his chakra-marked objects are tougher to detect the further they are. And on top of that, if Boruto left right now, the others would be in big danger, and both the other thorn bulbs would be retrieved. So Boruto basically has to buy time. Koji is saying that until Konohamaru, Sarada, and the others get somewhere safe, Boruto is trying to keep Jura engaged. And Koji says that Boruto is unfortunately done now without a doubt. We then cut back over to Jura and Boruto's fight, where Jura is telling Boruto he's come to kill him and saying that he knows too much about the thorn bulbs and the divine trees. Jura asks if Boruto's source of info is his accomplice. Boruto doesn't end up answering him, and he's thinking surely Jura took some damage from that Rasengan he dealt earlier, but he can't get a read on him at all. And now he's thinking that he has to resort to using the Rasengan Uzuhiko on him. Jura then ends up asking him another question, pretty much asking what is love. He says he believes that the concept right now is that it can be a fatal weakness to humans as a side effect of being highly intelligent. And then Jura uses Boruto as an example, saying that his chances against him are very minuscule, yet he still came here to save his friends, and in other words, he was lured to his place of death. Jura then uses wood style, which Boruto dodges at first, but it does disrupt Boruto not being able to use the Uzuhiko. He then ends up getting captured by the wood style and separated from his sword. So this is, I feel like, a little bit of a time-buying moment too for Boruto because of some of what he says next, and also because he does end up using the Rasengan Uzuhiko later. So Jura is walking now towards Boruto's sword, and Boruto says that's a precious object he borrowed from his master, and that if he does anything to the sword, that he'll face a fate worse than death. So big threat from Boruto. Jura says yet again, you're suffering because of love, and to tell him where his accomplice is, and that the blade will retain its original form if he does. However, Jura tells him that Boruto, you'll be dying regardless afterwards. So Jura's standing his ground on that no matter what, that he is going to kill Boruto. We can tell Jura's a pretty serious villain in the regards of he sticks to business. Of course, he expresses some emotion that he's been getting, but Jura seems to be very big on wanting to get rid of the threats that he thinks might actually interfere with his plans. So after that, pretty much Boruto responds to him by saying, you might be right about love being a flaw and weakness, but in my opinion, that's why you'll never be, and you guys will never be more than trees. And that was a pretty cool line from Boruto. That was probably the most hype line of the chapter, just because Boruto then broke out of the wood style as well, and he ended up teleporting right behind Jura and ended up hitting him with the Rasengan Uzuhiko. And I want to say generally the art in this chapter was pretty solid to pretty good. You know, I'm pretty used to what Boruto's been giving, but Boruto's definitely been better in Two Blue Vortex when it pertains to the art just improving, which honestly love to see it. So now we're towards the end, and Boruto's saying the world must be spinning for you, right? And that you probably won't be able to fly anymore, maybe not even stand. Jura's a bit surprised at first, but then he ends up standing up, and it turns out that he nullified it because it follows similar principles to his own tail beast bombs. So that's crazy right there. Boruto's ultimate move basically got tanked. And that's kind of a cliffhanger because it ends with Boruto thinking, damn it, the Uzuhiko didn't work on him or doesn't work on him. And that's how we ended off. Now the big thing is, what will Boruto's fate be in chapter 23 of Two Blue Vortex? Exciting stuff to come, I bet. There's a couple different ways they could go with this. I feel like if I have time, I'm going to end up making some videos with like some different ideas they could go. But some stuff I'm just thinking off the top of my head is we could have Kawaki show up without his limiters now, and that could possibly just buy them enough time to find an escape route. That could be possible. Another way is maybe Boruto loses conscious to the karma. And if that ends up happening, Boruto's gonna, possibly be taken over by Momoshiki, and we have no idea what's gonna happen if that's how it goes down. That could be either really good or really, really bad. So that's another possibility. But all in all, next month should be pretty hype. Could be brutal too, I don't know. But this month's chapter, definitely a hype one, definitely a great one. I didn't like it as much as last month's chapter, which could arguably be my favorite Two Blue Vortex chapter. But this month is pretty close still. All in all, 9.5 to 10 out of 10 for me this month. I think last month I gave chapter 21, I think either 10 or 11 out of 10. Really, really great stuff nonetheless. Boruto's been on fire. Two Blue Vortex still, in my opinion, not a single bad chapter. So let's hope they keep it going. But definitely let me know, guys, what you guys think of everything in the comments below. To sum it up, aside from me thinking it was a great chapter, I do think we got a good bit of story into this too, because we know now that where Ada and Koji are standing in terms of the chances of the battle. We're seeing Boruto's ultimate move not work, and Konahamu was able to make an escape. So that was big too. So hopefully he can rendezvous with Mitsuki, Sarada, and the others, and they can get away in time before Boruto meets a bad fate. So that's going to be it for this one. If you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you guys are new. And as always, I hope you guys have a good day or night whenever you guys are watching this video. I'm Rewinds, and I'm out.